Hello folks, who have we got? Hey Chief. Yeah, stunning day. Stunning day. Let me flip you over. So yeah, lawns are probably the best lawns you'll see in England at the moment, with the amount of the lack of rain that we've had. But luckily, this chap has underwater so it waters the entire place. So just trim around the edges, just to get all the edges. I've got to now get my tool and trim all of the lines all the way around. Get a nice fresh cut. There's our railway, our local railway. That goes to London and to Eastbourne. Yeah, it's lovely, lovely house. There's a couple of houses there together. It's one big one. Oh, hi souls, you alright? Hey Marlon. Hope you're good. Hey Constant. Good to see you. Yeah, I do this quite often. Probably once a month. He likes to do it himself, but he's always away. So when he's away, I've got to climb up there at some point and take those couple of branches that are overhanging. It's crazy. Right. Hi, Light and Dawn. You alright? So, let me get with the lawn edges. And basically we're just, see this line here. You get a nice fresh cut along here. It might sound very anal, but that's what he wants. So, I'll show you in a second. So yeah, so now look down. Just had a nice trim and haircut. I'll do that all the way around the edges. Just makes it more prominent, you can see automatically now. But yeah, go all the way around the edge. That normally takes me about 10 minutes. Yeah, and then I'll jump on and put some stripes in it. Hi Red Bull, how are you doing? You alright? So, the amount of bees here is I only have to stop. There we go. Hundreds of them. Some of the bigger ones here, the bumblebees, they do like these. So many. Look at them, look. There's all over the place. So many bumblebees on this. It's busy at it. So yeah, we're good for bumblebees in Sussex. Don't let any of the news saying that there is a diminishing bees get to you, because it's just prefabricated fear. Look at them all. Hundreds of them on each one. Pretty much every single one has a bumblebee feeding. And that's just on one plant. I'll move to another plant. And then we have the roses. I bet you there'll be a few on the roses. There's actually more wasps than bees on the roses. Passion flower. These are beautiful. Right. Let's have a quick drink. So hope everyone is well on this beautiful Saturday. That's the downs over the back there. South Downs. It's all chalk basically. Thanks for those who's thumbed up and given us a like. Thank you very much. So what I've done is I've done the edges, so they're nice and sharp now. I've got to give it a little blow, get rid of the grass clippings. So I've trimmed around the edges. Edged up. I've trimmed around the edges of these. I've still yet to edge up around here. They're not actually not too bad, but you can see the edges there. So we'll tidy those edges up. Yeah, they're a bit more prominent on these ones, so we'll tidy this edge up. All the way around here, give that a nice edging, and then a blow, and then we will get on with the mowing and put some nice stripes in it. Good to see you, Chief. Yeah, it's a little bit long in places. It's a little bit long in places. but we'll get it at least a third. We'll cut it down, it'll take about 2/3 off of it, and we'll have it all laying down nicely, so it will make a nice pattern. You can roughly see where the old lines were. I'll keep to the same format. I normally go over the same lines twice each time, and then we change the direction. I do soft landscaping. I don't do hard landscaping. I don't get the digger out anymore. I used to years ago, but now I kind of do everything by hand. So it's making beds, hand digging. I do the occasional pond, dig a pond out, make a pond for people, put in the pumps. Yeah, I kind of try and stay away from stone and flagstone. That's kind of too back-breaking for me at the moment. But yeah, something that I used to do. I've done a couple of retaining walls. People want to change their garden around. There's a lot of gardens here that are they're tiered because they're quite high up. I didn't do this layout. I helped with the flowering and putting in some of the different trees, but he already had this. This has been this garden for about 20 years. They've changed the fauna, basically. But yeah, it's got a mixture of plants here that gives it a bit of colour throughout the entire year. There's a lot of late autumn, a few wintering flowers, clematis over the back. And there's I don't know, you can't see that there, but there is an olive tree just there, right in front of us. It's not very... Hey Enviromad, this is like the first video of yours I watched. Well, the first live. I've been up trees and I do kind of, you know, I try and visualize what needs to be done before it's done, if you get what I mean. I let my imagination take wild, basically, and it's what you need when you're clearing out stuff and you want to rejuvenate a garden. There's a lot of times I get called in and people just don't actually know what they need to do in their garden because it's just overgrown and they don't know what to keep, what not to keep. A lot of things kind of re-sprout. You stayed on Olive Street. Well, the olive tree is one of the oldest trees. You know, they've been around for, you know, some of the olive trees in, I think it's Libya, around the Mediterranean at least. Some of those trees are, you know, 800-900 years old, and they're still producing olives. It's quite incredible. So yeah, it's my little mower. It's a reconditioned. It's about 20 years old, but I find the older tech you have, you get the quality of the older tech. The newer tech does do the quality, but it just doesn't last. It doesn't last. Literally 2 seasons. And then it ends up going in for a service, and they say, oh, something's gone wrong with the head, or it needs skimming, or, and it's like, what? It's only been running for, 300 hours maximum. And this thing has probably done 3,000 hours. Hey 24, you alright? Am I open to a question? I'm always open to a question. Whether or not I can answer it straight away, but yeah, sure. Shoot. Shoot and I shall catch. In my teeth. Chief Peacock, you just reminded me of Popeye. We'll have to do a deep dive on that. Memory or recall from the field. So, we're talking intuition with intent. It's like being a self-medium. A lot of people say that they channel certain people that give them the information. Some people say that they channel angelic beings that give them the information from the Akashic records. Everything is different, but is all the same. Everyone is describing exactly the same thing, but they're describing it all differently. Now, sometimes we get these intuition thoughts even without intent. And whether or not we follow them, that's the life's lesson. Sometimes we follow them and everything goes absolutely brilliantly and we just stop and we go, how the fuck has this just happened? But deep down inside, you knew you followed that path with that intuition that made you say, what the fuck? Now, most of the time, we don't acknowledge it at all. And even when things do go right, there are so many things around us to keep us occupied, to bring us back to the state where we no longer think that we're aligned with anything. And that's through fear. And it's subconscious fear. It's, with our conscious we can say, I'm not scared of anything. But it's tapped into your subconscious, which is the fear. Even if it's like, the fear of eating a fucking carrot. But when you do align, you end up physically asking the universe with intent. And it opens up a whole dimension of possibilities. Now, I also think that it's two-sided as well. Because this gateway is open, you may still have these underlining fears that you're still coming to terms with. You're acknowledging them, but they're the lesson, right? And even having that as a lesson, you still can have doubt. And the moment you put doubt into the field, it will replicate itself. It is just like AI. It's only as good as the information that you put out. This is why I'm going down the simulation mode, because it is all about the quantum, and I think quantum has been thrown around quite easily at the moment, but I'm learning to understand that it is just, quantum is another word for simultaneous or assimilation. And we've been looking at everything linear. The moment you start overlapping two truths, which are identical, but just because they have different terminologies, you get to understand the underlining program of that truth. There are so many people that are fighting each other over the same truth, and it's just because they speak a different terminology. And I think that's the way it's been designed. Academia itself has been stripped of all its independent fields. You have information field theory. You have signal processing. You have quantum theory. And all these theories are separate, but they're talking about the same thing. But because they're separate, and they're told that they're separate, the fields don't mix. Yeah, fear is, it's the fear of losing someone that you love. There's a fear of everything just collapsing tomorrow, but that's doubt, right? That's just doubt. And the fact that we are an eternal spirit, so we cannot lose something that is eternal. It is quite simple at the end of the day, but we make it so complicated for ourselves. So what I've learned is, when I do my deep dive sessions, before I even do any research, I always have a question from the previous research. And that question is is what I need to download. I need to understand why I'm asking this question. I'm not asking for the answer, because the answer will manifest itself anyway. But I'm asking why I'm on this path to asking this question. Because there's always a bigger picture. And I think the individual synchronicities that we have are these other pathways that always lead us back to the original path. But they allow us to link up with other people. That's what syncing is all about. And it's not just syncing the information up. It's the energy that comes along with the frequency, right? We all need energy. Most things get it from the sun. But we have got an internal sun inside of us that we can activate. And it gives us energy, and it can give others energy. You know, and this is what I've come to realize, you know, when I look at my birth chart and I went deep into the numerology, and the reason why I've got 3 5s in my chart. And it's all about balance. That's why I'm a stonehead, you know. I've always been about finding my balance. And it's a good thing to jump in with 2 feet into any subject. But you can get taken away within that subject. You can get obsessed with a certain subject. But it's about finding balance within that information. You take what you need, you move on. You assimilate it into your own baseline. So then you look at other people and you see, what baseline have they got? What have they assimilated from other fractions? And you'll find it's just the one fraction. They've assimilated everything that someone else has told them to assimilate. Nothing of their own investigation. You know, it's what everyone wants to do. But I see through that want. I see the program, the underlining program, that uses and harnesses our energy. And to keep your energy, you must remain sovereign, not give away your energy. Can I channel fear of questioning? What do you mean? What do you mean? Have I ever got scared whilst channeling? Is that what you're trying to say? Miss Flipper, when I mean your energy, I mean your loosh. I mean when someone wants to siphon your energy, you don't give that away. You are in charge of lighting up others. Either if it's just dropping a seed or actually just listening. You know, it's about attention. So if you give the wrong person your attention, that's all I'm saying. Because when we give our energy away, it automatically fills up. But not when it's being drained. There's a big difference. Huge difference. No, absolutely. You know, a problem shared is a problem halved. But it's when you're unintentionally giving your energy away, when it's being siphoned. And that is usually through fear and deception. And being controlled. It's not about being a bad boy. Because it all has to come with integrity. It all has to come from a place of kindness. Well, yeah. The material is what's attached to the ego. That's the whole point of this. You know, you'll find that there are not many homeless that have a huge ego. There's not many people in the woodland that have an ego. The only people that have an ego in the woodland are those from the city that have brought a lot of stuff to bring with them. You know, to help them adjust to the forest with all their technical stuff, and you know, they bring the city to the woodlands with them. That's the ego. Should you wait for a hello or be the first to say regarding energy? Well, if you are living in the moment and you're observing those within the 7 seconds, you'd be able to read their intention before they actually say a word. And so at that point, your internal dowsing mechanism would have already made the first move. You would have carried on what you were doing and not given your energy away if that's where you believe the path would have led you, or you initiate the verbal handshake, as it were. Hey Leslie, good to see you. Exactly, just let go. Let go of all the worries. The worries of the world isn't yours, right? It is just a projection to trigger you into believing that this world isn't an illusion. Why are there still charities that are 40 years old? Tell me that. If we really care so much. Yes, but Miss Blipper, you're one of a kind. I know that. Like I mentioned, you know, the numbers, the 144,000 isn't a religious group. It's a ratio. And it's not just a ratio in that sense. It's a ratio in many things. Signal processing, flicker rate. So if there's one truth node, one node that assimilates truth from many different fields, that creates their own sovereignty, that doesn't look for an external saviour, that is connected to source. There is one of those for every 144,000 of those that just assimilate one baseline, whether it be a religious baseline, whether it be a political baseline, you know, those that feel so the need that they have to stand up for one side, not knowing that both sides work for the same bird. I mean, what kind of mentality? It's crazy thinking about it. It's pissing in the wind in a hurricane. Well, I haven't mastered mowing the lawn by itself at the moment, so I've got to crack on. I'm going to prop you up here. In fact, let me get my edges. I'll finish off the edging and then we'll mow everything at once. No squirrels. No squirrels around here when I'm around. They know better. No, there's not too many squirrels on this side of town. They'll be over the other side of there, pretty much. In fact, I did see a couple a little while ago. You can see the branches jump up and down. These are all sycamores. But yeah, I can't see at the moment. Right, let me put you up here. Yes, Miss Blepper. He has an underground watering system, hence why it's nice and lush. Yes. How the other half live. Right. Yes, Japanese maple. Acer japonica. Yeah, I've got to do two of those in a couple of weeks. I'll go live then as well. I did a huge. There was a cherry tree that had a huge bleeding canker and a huge fungus growing at the bottom of it, and so they wanted me to take it down because they had these two Japanese maples in between and they wanted that as a feature instead. But instead of cutting it all the way down, I carved a nice little bird table in it, which stands at about 10 foot, so high enough for cats not to get up it, but it's got a swirling twirl around the bark on it. It's quite nice. But yeah, I'll go live for that one. That's probably the end of next month. Yeah, right. Hey amongst, you alright? Good to see you. Right. Now for the piece de resistance. Actually, I'm just going to give it a quick blow around the edges before I start mowing. Flip it that way. Yeah, why would you use a blower on a windy day? Eh? there we have it. Hey Nanabaloo, you alright? Just having a quick look through the chat. Everyone's chatting away with each other. Yeah, it's not that kind of grass though, Miss Blipper, my tobacco. So that's the before. That's an after. Bit of a shadow on there, so you can't really pick it up. So yeah, these two to do now, and then I'll be out of here. Holy stripes indeed, Batman. You could play grass bowls on this quite easily. It's ever so level. There's no bumps in it at all. Oh, finish my little doobie-doo. So yeah, I don't know if you noticed that I went over it twice. The first run just took about an inch off, and then I drop it down 2 more notches. So I dropped it down 4 notches from the start, from the very top. Realistically, you don't want to go in there for a straight cut and cut to where you want to get to at the end. You don't want to do it all in one, especially with a lawn like this. It is still got a little bit of dry patches. The little yellow patches you see there are actually, it's moss that's trying to grow through, because it's quite shady in this little area. It's south facing, but this corner on here is kind of a north facing shadow. So he has problems on just this little bit. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, they haven't got a live peacock here. I think there was one next door. I know someone down this road did have a peacock. You like their statues? Right. Nice, Nanny Blue. Right. And there we have it. You could have turned it down, souls. I left the ambient there for people who want to turn it up. Hey Ricardo, good to see you, mate. Yeah, so we're pretty much done here now. Yeah, that's all they've got me to do. I haven't got any climbing to do today. But I will have to get up there at some point and reduce that beech tree. But I should leave that for a winter job. I'll get that done before the winds come. Right. Thanks ever so much for giving the thumbs up. If you haven't already, you can do on the way out. If not, don't worry. See me in the halls of YouTube. Cheers folks, thanks for your attention. One love.